Okay, I suck at these blogs, but I know Barlow lives here, so I just gotta be quiet and shit. It's gonna be so sick for my channel. Never done a blog before, but oh shit. Fuck. I don't know who the fuck is back here. So fucking spooky. What's that sound? Jesus! I was hoping it was not home. Okay, fuck the lantern. These bushes and fucking sticks. Jesus! What's going on, guys? Welcome to 31 Days of Horror. I'm Morgan Film Fan. Let's jump into some scares. Salem's Lot is a miniseries from 1979 that is based off of Stephen King's novel Salem's Lot. And this has been remade a couple times now, most recently being in 2024 that they just came out with a film based on the same thing. And then we have a miniseries from the 90s as well with Rob Lowe, I believe, which I've never seen or checked out. But I've never seen this either, obviously. But I wanted to check it out, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to do so, especially on Halloween, the last day of this 31 Days of Horror. And it's 3 hours, so I thought it was 4 for some reason, but it's 3 hours long. So, I mean, I've seen so many 3-hour films that I don't even consider this a miniseries. I just consider it a film. But technically, it's a made-for-TV miniseries, and it's directed by Tobe Hooper, which I also forgot about. But yeah, it's basically the plot of the book and this is essentially you have this small town in Maine called Salem's Lot, and it's like population of 2,000. And you have this man named Ben Mears. Ben Mears is an author, and he, of course, Stephen King, and he moves into Salem's Lot, and wants to kind of get a little place, settle down, write some more books, yada yada. He meets this woman named Susan. They fall in love really quickly, actually, and he is also like he grew up in Salem's Lot, so he left and then is coming back, kind of thing. And you have this man named Richard Straker. He's about to open an antique shop, and he's opening it in like the main strip of Salem's Lot. And he requests that these movers, because there's this big old house. It kind of, the way this is shot, it's made to kind of resemble and pay homage to the Psycho house, the Norman Bates house in Psycho. And it's on the hill, and it's spooky, and it looks like very gothic and all like, macabre and stuff like that. And it's like the house of the town that, when Ben Mears was a kid, his friends would like pull pranks on each other to go inside. And Ben has a history with this house and a fear of this house because during a prank, when he was a child, he went in there and saw like creepy, apparently he saw this guy hanging there and stuff. This house has a history, basically. And the whole Salem's Lot town has a history, and Ben Mears has a history with it. And the book especially is very famous for creating this atmosphere of this small town and this like feel and this mood. And the film captures that well, in my opinion. Not as good as the book, but because when you're reading, it's just you get way more detail. But the film does a decent enough job capturing that mood and atmosphere, and I really felt it throughout this film. So this guy who owns the antique shop wants this crate delivered to this old spooky mansion. And the whole mystery is what's inside the crate, kind of thing. And eventually, it's a vampire story for anybody who's ever looked up Salem's Lot. There's a vampire on the fucking cover, so I'm not spoiling anything. We can take a guess what's inside this crate. And the main villain, his name is Barlow. forget his first name right now. Mr. Barlow. They call him Mr. Barlow a lot throughout the film, so we'll just go with Mr. Barlow. And people start turning in the town, and people start turning into vampires slowly, especially children, which is the biggest macabre thing about this film. Like some of the first deaths are kids. Like you get kids turning, and you get kids turning first, usually before the adults. Definitely before the adults, actually. And one thing this film is absolutely famous for is having this scene where this vampire kid comes to the window and starts scratching at the window. Apparently, it haunted people's nightmares like crazy in the 70s and 80s, and I can totally understand why, because the music and the score is perfect in that scene. And I'd never seen it before. I just seen like images, stills. I never even looked up the scene on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, I can see why. Like, it's cheesy now and there's corny effects to it, but I can totally see why this scene is famous. And it was great. Like, it was just so spooky and creepy. Like, it's the definition of creepy, that scene. So I can see why it's in people's top 5 scariest scenes of all time, kind of thing. I think the vampire looks cool. Barlow, Mr. Barlow. I think certainly he looks cheesy in certain scenes, definitely, because they use some like puppetry sometimes, and the way he'll like come on screen kind of thing. Like, it's very children's cartoonish at times, here and there. But I think for 1979 and a TV miniseries, it actually the villain, Mr. Barlow, looks good. Like, he looks like a legit badass vampire. I like the teeth design, the whole bald head thing. It was great. I will say that I personally think that this is a better miniseries than It was, even though It as a story I kind of like better. It's more in depth. It's more like, I don't know. I like the weirdness of it, I guess. But as a miniseries, I think I have to give the extra points to this one. And I think they did a good job. There's this hilarious scene in the hospital where Ben Mears, he takes, I don't know if you call them popsicle sticks, but for all intents and purposes, it's those things that doctors use to press your tongue down. And he makes a crucifix out of them. And I'm like, a crucifix out of those? And then he starts blessing it, and I'm like, how? I don't think that's going to work, buddy. Like, popsicle sticks? Come on. And he tapes them together, and then he starts blessing the crucifix. And then a vampire comes along, and he puts the thing on the vampire's head, and it actually starts smoking, and the vampire, like, is destroyed in, like, 10 seconds. I'm like, oh, shit. It actually worked. Damn. Next time there's a vampire apocalypse, be sure to, gather those popsicle sticks and start forming some crucifixes together. This film opens up in Guatemala, and there's like a 2-minute intro before the film starts, and it's like, it starts in Guatemala, and then it says 2 years earlier, so the whole film is happening 2 years earlier. I don't remember any of that Guatemala stuff in the book, personally. Now, that's another thing I wanted to mention, is that I need to reread the book again, because it's hard to make comparisons to the book, because it's been at least 2 years since I read the book, and I forget a lot of it. It all came back to me when I watched the film, but it's hard for me to remember what they missed in the book in this. They missed a lot, like I definitely know that, but I really want to reread it to get a better grasp on it, especially after watching this. There is a scene in here, I'll just say, involving husband and wife and infidelity that I remember being in the book, and they adapted it in here quite well. In my opinion. And they got all the characters correct too, and I like that. Now, there's so many characters, and it makes it very easy to forget like all of them and all their names too. I had a little bit of trouble keeping focused on who was who, like especially names, because there's so many characters, and you have to remember each one's names, and there's like 15 characters that are really focused on. Like, you got the boys, you got Danny and Ralphie Glick, which both of them actually end up showing up at the window at some point. Ralphie first, and Ralphie's the very famous spooky scene that I was talking about earlier. It's Ralphie Glick at the window. And then you have Mark, who, the actor who portrayed Mark, I just have to say, he gave a really annoying performance. I'm sorry, I just have to point that out there. That kid was annoying as fuck. He was the most annoying in the film, for sure. But then you have this guy who, Ned is his name, who interrogates Ben through the entire film because Ben is going after Susan, and Ned dated Susan before, and there's that whole triangle thing going on. I think when the vampires turn, they look really cool too. I think the whole vampire design that they adapted into this film looks great, and anything to do with the vampires and the way they look and the way they like hiss and stuff. There's a scene with this character named Mike who's turned into a vampire, and he's just sitting on a chair with yellow eyes. I love the yellow eyes that they put on these vampires and how they glow. And just I don't know, the way they hiss and the way they like their vampirism characteristics are very well done in this film. So it's a 4 out of 5. I had a blast with it. This has a lot of rewatch value, and I think giving the book another go and getting it fresh in my memory and then going back to this, I'll definitely be able to appreciate both more. But I think this is a cool adaptation, and I'm very curious to watch the others too, especially the Rob Lowe miniseries, and then the recent 2024 adaptation. So this is a perfect outro to 31 Days of Horror, and a perfect film to make the finale. I think vampires and Halloween, they go hand in hand. So that's really all I got. Without giving too much of the rest of the plot away, because it's a very interesting story, and it's like a journey. I wasn't huge on the Guatemala stuff. Again, it could be in the book. I don't remember it at all, that part of it. I don't recall any Guatemala stuff being in the book, but I could be wrong. I might have just forgotten about it, but we'll see when I reread it. Salem's Lot, 1979, directed by Tobe Hooper. Very, very cheesy at times, but cool at other times film. So that's another 31 Days of Horror. I had another great time doing it for year 5, and I hope you guys enjoyed every video. If not, go check out the other 30 for this month, and go check out the previous years as well. There's plenty of 31 Days of Horror on the channel, and I had a blast doing it as always. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you like to listen to my voice. And it's another spooky season over, but we still have some trick-or-treaters to come to the door tonight, so it's not quite over yet. However, spooky season is almost turning into that cold, bitter time of the year, and we all know what comes next. But there's Nightmare Before Christmas for that. So, thank you for watching. Keep things spooky. Enjoy your Halloween season. Check out everything else on my channel, and until next year for another 31 Days of Horror, more than likely. Till next time. Happy Halloween, guys. Cheers.